Hello. So, Wizards of the Coast, Hasbro, and other stuff. I feel it's obligatory to state that Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast are still, well, they're dumb. I mean, eh, you know, uh, donkey brained. It's clear that the whoever's making the decisions and deciding to go through with these things is pretty donkey brained. Now, there's always the possibility that the company is seeing something that the rest of everyone else is not seeing, and they're looking at the new possible customers coming in off of the D&D movie, Baldur's Gate, video game, and anything else in the pop culture that's going to lift up the brand of Dungeons and Dragons. And they might see that, oh, with the amount of possible people incoming in this given year and a half before the release of the next update, sixth edition, whatever they want to call it, that they can lose all the previous players who have come into the game knowing that it's a role-playing game. You use your imagination with your friends. That's the key driving force behind role-playing games. So they might see that they can lose all of us in that generic grand generalization. They might find that they can lose all of us, and with the new people coming in that are willing to pay between, it looks like, based on leaked sources, between $10 to $30 per month. And that's for everybody. So it's not just the DMs that are going to be paying for that service on D&D Beyond. It looks like it will be every player. If you want 3 characters or less on the D&D Beyond system, $10 a month. If you want unlimited, $30 a month, 360 a year. That sounds like more than people spend on books, for DMs anyways. Players can get away with, a $50 book per year. If you jump in late in the game, you spend $150 to get 3 core player oriented books. But so anyway, pretty donkey brained. Yeah, because unless they're going to make more than they are on all the people that currently play or have played the game, then they're shooting themselves in the foot. Because, well, look at it this way: if they alienate everybody currently and move to this and make it their only virtual tabletop system, the only virtual tabletop system that runs the new edition of Dungeons and Dragons, that charges $10 to $30 per month, per player, per individual. And the way that it's described, at least in the leaks, is it's going to be far closer to a video game. I don't know why I'm going over all of this. I figure maybe there's some of my friends that watch these videos that don't know all the kerfuffle in the role-playing game world, and so now I'm just rambling through some bigger issues. Anyways, if they take over the virtual tabletop for D&D and they exclude all other virtual tabletops for the new D&D, and the way that they're running it with the idea that if you don't have a DM, they will have an artificial intelligence DM to be able to run basic adventures or combats, adventures, I don't know, dungeon crawls for players, then it's really just a video game. And at $30 a month, that's twice of what WoW is currently, or most other, online subscription video games. I think ESO was, it's been a while since I played, but last it was like $100, 120 per year. So at the lowest per month cost if you buy in a year package. So yeah, to make a video game out of something where the expectation, if you're the expectation for playing a role-playing game is to be sitting with friends. I mean, sure, in the modern era, in the future that is now of COVID and online Zooms and all of that stuff, sure, you aren't actually sitting in the same room, but generally you're live with somebody else and interacting with another live person in real time, and all everything within the system is being generated and controlled by those living beings. So who in a lot of cases are your friends. So it seems to me it's dumb because they should just rebrand it the tactical war game, Dungeons and Dragons tactical war game. And for $30 a month, then you can get all the microtransactions. If you want different colored dice, and you're only paying the $10 a month level, then there you go. You can buy different colored dice that are virtual. So with that out of the way, that Wizards of the Coast is still looking at deauthorizing the original Open Gaming License 1.0A, and that they are going to charge up to $30 per month for their virtual tabletop service, which will likely exclude any other virtual tabletops from using at least the newest editions of Dungeons and Dragons, but there's still a very large concern that they are going to remove any version of Dungeons and Dragons from all virtual tabletops, Roll20, Foundry, etc., and just funnel you through their own D&D Beyond, which is why people are canceling their subscriptions. And I just got an email today saying, sorry, we had a problem getting to my request to cancel my account. I didn't have a subscription. I had an account. I emailed them last week, or put in a ticket last week to cancel the account. They finally got back to me. They're a little backlogged. It's the other caveat. So all these decisions are being made at the top level. The creatives, the customer service, all the other individuals working at Wizards of the Coast are not making these decisions, and based on the leaks and other information that has been put out, the vast majority, if not all, but I mean probably there's always some outlier, but the vast majority of the creative, editorial, customer service side of Wizards of the Coast are not happy with this either, and always remember to take that into account when calling up or emailing, or any engagement you have with any employees. If they are not high level executives, then there's no reason to treat them belligerently. And even the high-level execs, more honey with vinegar if you have flies. So catch the executives in the best way you can to get their attention that they're being donkey-brained. And hopefully there's enough knowledge about the comedic origins of donkey brains that will soften the blow that they're being donkey-brained. Anyway. So with all that out of the way, I think, who knows, rambling sentences, do they end, do they start? We don't know, and that's all right, because human interaction. We're having a one-sided conversation where I'm just, softly, gently talking with you, kindly, hopefully. Um, I figured I'd just do a quick segment, quick video on script, plot, and character arc, and what it means as a DM or a GM. Side note: I think that the term DM slash Dungeon Master, those two terms, are at least within the gaming community. What is it? It's generic uh, trademark. It's entering into generic, or it has entered into generic trademark territory. Sure, Wizards of the Coast can have a trademark on Dungeon Master and DM, but the the big thing is Kleenex has a trademark on Kleenex, but we all still call any tissue paper Kleenex. Not we all, obviously. It's localized to whatever region. I didn't go looking this up. This is just a pet hypothesis that's yet to be tested. But so yeah, I think D&D, or no, I think Dungeon Master and DM has entered into generic trademark territory. Not a lawyer. I'm just, again, it's a feeling. I feel it in the force. So, back to script, plot, and character arc. And I've touched on this stuff before. This is just kind of one thing that I always keep seeing coming up in people's videos. The issue that kind of keeps coming up, at least on the intertubes and in the world out there, as that I keep running into, is people having expectations that once the game starts, things will still have to go down certain avenues. And again, see, this is going to be a quick video. Like, you're not writing a novel, you're not writing a story. You can write backstory, which is a story about the back side of time that exists for the character you are playing. And you can write that backstory, but then once the game starts, you are creating the story in the moment. You are living, you are role playing another entity in the moment as it's going, and you have to react however you think your character would react to situations that the DM is providing in the moment. And so you can want to have your character to go on a specific path. You can want your character to save Grandpa in the tower because Grandpa got captured by the dragon, and once you save Grandpa, then you can become king or queen of the realm, and great, huzzah. But if your character dies before getting there, then that doesn't happen. And your character could die before getting there because that's part of the game. Again, if you're playing in a game where the DM doesn't kill player characters, well, then that's fine. You know that going in. But if you're playing most, but not all, not elitist here. It's just if you're playing most games of role-playing games in general, death is a possibility for your character. And that means there's no guarantees going forward after you start playing the game, which then means that there's no point in writing out or wanting a specific arc. Now, a character having plans is completely different. So you can have your character want to engage or go after or do a specific thing. Save Grandpa. That's the goal. That's what your character wants to do. Great, go save Grandpa. And then you start working towards that everywhere you can until the DM finally relents and makes sure that they come up with a positive, worthwhile adventure around Grandpa. Now, the DM, it's the same thing for the DM. the DM can set out what will happen in the future. And I would argue in many cases, especially for things that are around the players, the DM should set out what will happen in the future if the players do nothing. So if the players don't engage in the the rabid halflings that guard the bridge to Grandpa, then those rabid halflings will probably eat other travelers because that's how rabid halflings do. But if the player characters do engage the rabid halflings and they succeed at defeating them, then that updates that part of the DM's world. And now there are no longer rabid halflings terrorizing people crossing the bridge on the way to Grandpa's house or castle or tower. Where do we put them? Do we put them in a dungeon? Some kind of dungeon. Some kind of dungeon, maybe in a tower dungeon. Got to go down and then up. It'll all work out well as long as we get this planned before the players tackle it. So that's the key thing for the DM, is to make sure that there are things out in the world that do affect the rest of the world, and they will keep affecting in a rational and logical way until the players deal with it. Maybe not deal with it, but until the players interact with it, and that might change it in a different. That might change that event or that situation to a different occurrence. Like the rabid halflings. Players, if the PCs don't go near the rabid halflings in the bridge, and they circumvent it and go around, they go south to another bridge that's not guarded by rabid halflings, and cross that and then travel all the way back up. Maybe maybe there's bandits down there. Maybe there's monsters. Maybe it's well traveled and well guarded by the other kingdom's troops. Either way, those rabid halflings are still a problem, and whoever's territory those rabid halflings are in, that means at some point the people in that region will do something about it. If it's not the local leader, it might be the local people that are sick and tired of the rabid halflings eating the people that are trying to bring the food from the neighboring farmlands to their village. And they might try to deal with rabid halflings themselves. And maybe they defeat the rabid halflings. Yay, village. Or maybe the rabid halflings defeat the village. Boo. Or maybe the rabid halflings infect all the village, and now you got a rabid village and a rabid halfling bridge. Is it spreading? That's why it's important to not include the players in any of your future plans of how the world is going to go as a DM or as a GM. This is system agnostic. So the last thing you want to do is write a script where it's all laid out, it's all the dialogue, and you have expectations of the players saying specific things to the bad guys. Like, it's rare, but I've seen it pop up where a DM, or I'm assuming a new DM or GM, is complaining about how their players aren't doing the adventures right because they aren't reacting or interacting with the NPCs the way the DM expects. Again, it's pretty rare to see that, but that would be the extreme version of this, where you're not playing a role-playing game, you are auditioning and training for a theatrical play. So you'll want to avoid scripting out your entire adventure for the players. Meaning you want to maybe have a few bits of dialogue that important NPCs might say. Maybe a catchphrase that they always say. I have a great DM. A friend of mine, there was one character, and he was a caravan driver, I believe. And everything was a bad omen. Oh, bad omen. That was bad omen. That would be a catchphrase that this character would always say, and that would be scripted and then planned for. And the expectation is that something would happen every game that would cause him to at least declare that that was a bad omen for future events. And the comedy is it ended up each one was just a bad omen, signifying that there would be another bad omen. It's bad omens all the way down. And so that's a great way to script a character, but you don't want to script out that at this point this character is going to, do this, and so that means the NPCs are going to do this, and then the PCs are going to do this. That's a bad way to DM. What you want to do as a DM is NPC is going to do this, and if the PCs do something that you think would change the NPC's course of action, that's when the NPC changes course of action. You can also have, other little timeline points. If the rabid halflings don't get any caravanners to eat within a month, then they're going to go and start seeking out people at the village in the middle of the night. And so that's a plot point, or a timeline point that's how those NPCs are going to react. Another one would be if the player characters distract the dragon outside of the tower dungeon where Grandpa is held, and they don't enter in the dungeon to save Grandpa, or they don't actually save Grandpa, in a week Grandpa dies of dehydration. And there you go. And those are good things to keep as plot points. And you'll find as you DM, you won't need to do this often. You will just start getting a feel for the world and for the campaign, and you will just kind of, oh yeah, I remember this character, it's ringing a bell, and where would they be? Because the characters are coming through the door to the shop, and this shopkeeper, oh yes, I remember the shopkeeper. And then you can either make up something on the fly to give it a bit of, depth to the campaign, where it's like, oh, the shopkeeper's husband answers, comes out from the back instead of the regular shopkeeper, and the shopkeeper's husband says that, he's gone away to, help deliver goods to the village across the bridge that's been having problems. And so now the players can engage with that or not. And a whole other thing I saw somewhere about, somebody was complaining on Reddit about their party taking too much time on a shopping trip in their campaign. And it took up the whole session or maybe longer, and they were very annoyed. And I don't want to get into that other than saying, yeah, it can be annoying, but players, if a bunch of players are really interested in shopping, kind of go with it. I know it's not always exciting combat, but still, if something is engaging another player, it's not bad to give them space to be able to enjoy that. If it happens every game and you're not having fun, well, then it's time to talk to the DM or leave the group, or talk to the other players. But I don't know. So back to the timeline points for NPCs. Yeah, you'll find that after a while you won't really need a whole lot of those, and you'll end up doing the timeline points for major plot events in your campaign if the players don't get involved. So at this point, this happens. At this point, this happens. At this point, Grandpa and the dragon fall in love, and if the players come rescue them after that, Grandpa doesn't want to go home. He's happy there now. So That's just some basics on plot, script, character arc. Is, don't have it all planned out. Leave yourself room for growth as a character, and remember, growth can be negative. You can have your anti-hero arc, which again, I'm using arc in a way that I hear people use arc that makes me cringe, because I think that that means they're planning out exactly what their character will do at every given point, without taking into account that they're playing a live game and different things can happen to their character that they weren't planning for, and they'll need to react, which may then change those decisions that they think they're going to make. So, sorry. Yeah. All right. That's it. Boo, Wizards of the Coast, Hasbro, donkey brains, man. Just CEOs, high level execs, donkey brains. Get it together. All right. That's it. Thank you. Like and subscribe, as they say, as I point to my computer, but you're over there, and that's probably down there for you. Hands, fingers. Like and subscribe, because I want to be helpful to the D&D and role-playing game community, and at this point in time, uh, I suspect I'm largely saying D&D just because it is a generic trademark placeholder for tabletop role-playing games. And since I'm not monetized on this channel, at least yet, that's just a public opinion that an individual has.